What would you do if you got a letter from yourself, but from the future? That happened to me. It said one thing: don't go outside at 9 p.m. tonight. At first, I thought it was a prank until I looked out my window and saw them standing there, staring at me, waiting. And that was just the beginning of the nightmare. It was a normal day. I came home from work, feeling tired and ready to relax. I walked into my small apartment and dropped my bag on the couch. Everything looked normal until I saw something on my desk. There was an envelope. A very old-looking envelope. The paper was yellowish, like it had been there for years. My name was written on it in black ink. Just my name, no address, no stamp, nothing else. I froze for a moment, wondering how it got there. My front door was locked. I lived alone. No one had a spare key. I picked it up slowly, feeling the rough texture of the paper. It felt strange in my hands, almost too real. I opened the envelope and pulled out a single folded piece of paper. The handwriting looked familiar, very familiar. When I started reading, my heart almost stopped. It said, "I am you, from the future, and you're in danger." My hands started shaking. I read the line again. It didn't make sense. How could this be from me? Was this some kind of sick joke? Then I noticed something else. The letter mentioned my full name, my birthday, and even a secret I had never told anyone. Something only I knew. At the bottom, it had one more line. Do not go outside at 9 p.m. tonight, no matter what you hear. I looked at the clock. It was already 8:30 p.m. My stomach dropped. I didn't know if this was real or fake, but I had only 30 minutes to decide. I sat on the couch, holding the letter in my hands, reading it again and again. My mind was racing. I am you, from the future. That sentence kept echoing in my head. Was someone messing with me? Was it some kind of prank? I grabbed my phone and called my best friend, Jake. Hey man, did you leave something at my place? Like a letter? I asked. He laughed and said, "What letter?" Dude, what are you talking about? I didn't tell him what it said. I didn't want him to think I was losing my mind. The clock ticked louder than ever. 8:55 p.m. 5 minutes to 9. The letter said, "Do not go outside at 9 p.m. tonight." Why? What would happen at 9? I stood near the window, pulling the curtain slightly. The street outside was empty. Silent. Too silent. No cars, no people, nothing. It felt wrong. 9 p.m. My phone buzzed in my hand, making me jump. A notification. Nothing scary, just an ad. I exhaled and laughed nervously. I'm losing it, I whispered to myself. Then I looked out the window again. They were there. 5 figures, standing in the middle of the street. Perfectly still. Their heads were tilted, like broken dolls. They were all facing my building. Facing me. My chest tightened. I stepped back from the window, heart pounding. My phone rang suddenly. I answered. Hello? Jake. But there was no voice. Just heavy breathing on the other end. Slow, deep breathing. And then a whisper, We can see you. I dropped the phone. My hands were shaking. The letter was real. I stood frozen, staring at my phone on the floor. My hands were trembling. That whisper. We can see you. Who is that? How did they know I was looking? I slowly crawled to the window again, my heart beating so loud I could hear it in my ears. The street outside was empty. Completely empty. The 5 figures, they were gone. I felt a wave of relief for a second, but then I saw something: footprints. Wet, muddy footprints on the pavement. They led straight toward my building. I ran to the door and checked the lock. It was still locked. I pressed my ear against the wood, trying to hear something. Silence. Just silence. I told myself it was my imagination. Maybe I was tired. Maybe the whisper on the phone was a prank call. That's all it was, right? I walked back into the living room and stopped. There was a new letter on my desk. My hands went cold. I didn't hear anyone come in. I didn't hear the door open. The letter wasn't there before. I picked it up slowly. The envelope was wet this time, like someone had been holding it with damp hands. I opened it with shaking fingers. The message was short, written in the same handwriting. They know you didn't listen. They're coming. I dropped the paper and stepped back. My breathing became heavy. Who is they? And how did this letter get here? Then I heard it. A faint sound from the hallway outside my door. Tap, tap, tap. Like footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. I grabbed my phone to call someone, but the screen was black. Dead. The battery was full an hour ago. Something was very wrong. I stood in the middle of my living room, clutching the second letter. My hands were sweaty, and my heart was racing so fast it felt like it would explode. They know you didn't listen. They're coming. I read it over and over. I didn't go outside like the first letter warned. So why did this one say I didn't listen? What did I do wrong? Suddenly, I heard a soft thud. Like something had fallen. I turned toward the hallway. The sound came again. Thud, thud, closer this time. I backed up slowly, gripping my phone even though it was dead. Then, silence. I took a deep breath and walked toward the hallway. My legs felt like they were made of stone. The hallway was empty, but something caught my eye near the front door. Another letter. It was lying on the floor, like someone had just slipped it under the door. I froze. I didn't hear anyone. I didn't see anyone. My door was still locked. I picked up the envelope. It was wet again, soaking wet, like it had been dropped in water. My hands shook as I opened it. The handwriting looked worse this time, like the person writing it was panicking. Don't answer if they knock. Don't speak if they call your name. Hide in the basement tomorrow night. It's your only chance. My stomach dropped. Basement? What was going to happen tomorrow night? I ran to the window, yanked the curtain aside. The street was empty again. No figures, no sound, nothing. But the silence was worse than any noise. Then, from behind me, I heard a whisper. Soft. Almost like a breath on my neck. Alex. I spun around. The room was empty. That whisper chilled me to the bone. Someone just said my name, but there was no one here. I checked every corner of the room. Nothing. Empty. I told myself I was imagining it, but deep down I knew I wasn't. My throat was dry, so I walked to the bathroom for some water. I turned on the tap and splashed cold water on my face. For a moment, it felt normal, just me, alone in my apartment. Then I looked up. In the mirror, behind me, I saw something. A shape. A dark figure standing in the doorway. My heart stopped. I spun around instantly. Nothing. No one was there. I stared at the empty doorway, my chest heaving, then turned back to the mirror slowly. The figure was gone. My hands gripped the sink. I whispered to myself, "This isn't real. This isn't real." And that's when I saw it. A new envelope, sitting on the bathroom counter. I swear it wasn't there before. My knees felt weak as I reached for it. The paper was even wetter than the last one, dripping onto the counter. I opened it with trembling fingers. The writing was almost unreadable now, like it had been smeared by water. But I could still make out the words. "You have one last chance. Hide in the basement tomorrow night. If you hear them call your name, it's already too late." I stared at the letter, my breath shallow. Tomorrow night. Basement. My only chance. Then, bang. A loud crash came from the living room, like something heavy fell. I dropped the letter and ran. The living room was empty. But on the wall, written in something dark, were 3 words. "We found you." I stared at the words on my wall. "We found you." My legs almost gave out. My apartment door was still locked. How did this happen? I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the corner of my room, holding my phone even though it was dead. Every little sound made me jump. The ticking of the clock, the wind outside, even my own breathing. When the sun finally came up, I felt no relief. Because I knew what the last letter said. Hide in the basement tomorrow night. That meant tonight. The whole day I kept thinking, should I leave? Run far away? But something told me it wouldn't matter. Wherever I go, they'll find me. Night came too fast. My hands were shaking as I grabbed a flashlight and headed to the basement. The air down there was damp and cold. I had never been here before. It smelled like mold and rust. I walked down the creaky steps, and then I saw it. Another envelope. It was lying on an old wooden table in the middle of the basement, like it had been waiting for me. I opened it slowly, my heart pounding so loud I could barely breathe. The letter said, "I didn't survive last time. Please listen this time." My stomach turned. Last time? What did that mean? Was I stuck in some kind of loop? Then I heard it. Footsteps. Upstairs. Slow and heavy. The basement door creaked. BNG. Something slammed against it. The wood cracked. Then another bang. Louder. Harder. They were here. The banging grew faster, shaking the whole door. And then I heard it, a voice, calm and cold, whispering through the crack. "Alex, open the door." I covered my mouth to stop from screaming. The basement door shook with every bang. Dust fell from the ceiling. My flashlight flickered. The voice came again, soft and calm, like it was smiling. "Alex, come out." I pressed myself against the wall, heart hammering so hard it hurt. I remembered the letter, "Don't speak if they call your name." So I stayed silent. The banging stopped. For a moment, there was nothing but silence. Then, slow footsteps. Not one set. Many. They were walking around above me, searching. I gripped the letter in my hand. The words burned into my mind. "I didn't survive last time. Please listen this time." What did last time mean? Was this really my future self warning me? If so, did that mean I'd die here? The footsteps stopped. Then I heard breathing. Right outside the basement door. Deep, heavy breathing. And then a whisper right against the wood. "We can wait forever." My whole body froze. Then, slowly, something slid under the basement door. Another envelope. With trembling hands, I reached for it. Inside was one final message. "If you hear them calling your name, it's already too late." As I read the last word, the basement light flickered and went out. Pitch black. And then my name. Alex. But this time, it came from behind me, inside the basement. I turned slowly, my breath catching in my throat, and saw two glowing white eyes in the dark, staring right at me. The last thing I felt was a cold hand on my shoulder. Darkness.